Holy cow, was my first game demo a complete failure? Let's discuss. So here's the quick TLDR version. My demo failed because it wasn't really a demo, it was a playtest. And that phrase really changed how players interpreted everything that they saw in my game. Players expected a polished vertical slice since I said it was a demo, but what I really gave them was an early staged experiment, and this was mismatch really kind of created confusion for them. But honestly, I think that mistake taught me more than a polished demo ever could have. When I sent this out, I thought I was testing the fun factor. I thought players would instantly understand the objective. I thought the Space War styled physics would be intuitive, and I thought calling it a demo just meant early preview. But I was wrong, and I was testing the wrong thing without even realizing it. There were three main problems that my playtesters ran into. First was total confusion about the objectives. I wasn't very clear. They didn't know if they were supposed to be protecting the planet, invading it. They didn't know that crashing into the planet would kill them. They thought maybe they could land on it because it was a demo. They also weren't aware that the other ships were inherently enemies, so they weren't sure that they were supposed to shoot them initially. The second part was basically user interface readability issues. They couldn't tell which ship was theirs. They didn't know the direction their ship was facing. The projectiles were a little bit hard to see depending on the size of the screen they were using. They didn't know there were health bars, and they didn't know that their engine could propel them in multiple directions. The third thing was kind of a genre mismatch. Most of my players assumed that this was going to be an Asteroids or Space Invaders style game. It looked like it could possibly be a twin stick shooter, and they thought that it was supposed to be maybe a planet defense game because there's a planet in the center of the screen. I built the game focused on Space War driven physics and the idea of players shooting on a map with wrapping along the screen. And they didn't initially expect this because they were confused. And they weren't confused because the game was bad. They were confused because I didn't teach them what the rules were. After receiving feedback from the players, everything kind of clicked for me. I recently watched the IndieGameClinic video titled "Most Stream Demos Suck. Here's Why." In it, he talks about the label that you choose, demo versus playtest, and how this sets expectations that the players bring with them.
A demo is for selling a game. A prototype is for validating and testing an idea to decide whether you want to take it to market as a full game. A good demo should answer any doubts that the core audience for that game have, give the audience confidence in your ability to make the full game, even if you haven't actually finished making it. What the demo needs to not do is hand wave features that the core audience for that game really care about and cast doubt over your operation. Because if you do that thing of just, oh yeah, maybe there'll be some magic, I don't know, your game is undercooked. It shouldn't be at that demo stage if you're still doing that kind of stuff.
And that was exactly my problem. I called it a demo, so the players expected a vertical slice, but what I gave them was a rough playtest, and so they judged it by the wrong standards. A demo is a promise, a playtest is an experiment, and I accidentally promised something that I was most definitely not delivering. The good news was that once the players did understand what was going on, and they learned by trial and error, they actually had fun. They talked about imagining party modes, team modes, objective modes. They praised visual and audio style. The core loop was enjoyable, and they wanted to play again if clarity was improved in their understanding of how everything worked. So I learned that the core gameplay does in fact work, but the UX really is not well designed, and that's kind of a problem, but a fixable one. There were a couple things that I learned about playtesting that I wanted to share. This whole experience taught me a few big lessons that I think other devs might be able to find useful. The first thing is that my first test really shouldn't be about fun. It should be about comprehension. If the players don't understand the game, how can they evaluate it? If the players don't understand the game, are they actually going to be able to enjoy it? If the players don't understand the game, then do I actually have a game available at all? The next thing is players don't actually know what you know, so my assumptions didn't meet their expectations at all. My mental model that I had since I created this game did not match the mental model that everybody else had going into it based off of what I explained to them the game being. The next part was that the readability from the user interface and the screen did not match the expectations of the player. So I had information available, but it really wasn't useful. The other cool thing that I learned, and this is a little bit of a bonus, is that my playtesters really kind of told me what they want the game to become, which is pretty awesome because they enjoyed it and they can imagine that there is more to it. And they were unprompted, and this kind of shows me that there is more potential laying under the hood once I get through some of the usability issues that we've come across. So yeah, calling this a demo was definitely a mistake, but running it wasn't. The playtest showed me that although I have things I need to fix, it confirmed that the core gameplay actually is fun once players understand what's going on. And honestly, that's the best outcome I could have hoped for. Have things to fix, know that my game is fun, and I can move forward with it. If you've ever had a playtest or a demo go sideways, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Thank you all, and I will see you in the next one.